What is up, you guys? Welcome back to a new video. I'm your girl Adrienne Montanez, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. This video is a little different today. I posted a short and I talk about it on TikTok. I didn't think it would do this well on YouTube, so I thought I'd just do a video for you just a little more in depth and just to introduce a little bit of who I am. And I've always wanted to do YouTube ever since like 2012, but I just didn't have the confidence, the money, the phone. I was really broke at the time, and I was battling a lot of things that I didn't understand and didn't make sense. And now that I've gotten older, especially in the last several years, especially with the current political climate that we're dealing with, it's kind of like a lot of things that I was experiencing at that time didn't make sense, and now they're making sense now. So if I could bring some awareness and peace to some of you, because I got quite a few messages of women hitting me up just saying like, this happened in my family, I thought I was alone. It's just, you're not alone. This is a real thing, and I just want to touch on this. And here's the thing too, if you look at my content, I am a strong conservative. But I'm also too, I'm all for people living and doing what's best for them. My problem is the children. That is my biggest focus. And I know I'm quirky, flirtatious. There's this persona people see of me, but deep down, I am a fighter to protect as many of these babies until God calls me home. And that is, I feel like that's a big soul of my purpose. Even I feel like in just to this next transition in my life and where I'm going, I feel like God's working me, and I have to follow. But it does come with hate. It does come with heat. It comes with isolation. It comes with a lot. But it's like, my thing is, I'm in a place in my life where, do I want to live just to kind of roll with the sheep of everybody else? Or am I here to speak my truth and to actually bring awareness and to fight against the evil? And I think you know already where I'm coming from with this. But I have so much to talk about this, but I just want to share briefly, just touch on about predators. We're living in a time where predators are being more protected than the actual children, the victims themselves. And this goes everywhere. This is nationwide. This is not just in foreign countries. This is not just a political, this is not a liberal conservative. This is nothing like that. This is a problem. We have children that are being sexually assaulted every single day before they go to bed, and nobody's protecting them. And the sad part is, there's a good proportion that are coming from the families. We're not talking about trafficking today, because that's a whole separate topic. But we're talking about children that have been groomed, or that are being molested, or that are being sexually taken advantage of. And this happened in my family multiple times. I've also learned too that I didn't even know this until recently, and I want to talk about it. I didn't know I had a few relatives that are registered sex offenders. Relatives that I would go eat with, be alone with. I used to drink and fall asleep at their house. Didn't know until about a year and a half ago. I have a couple of my family that are registered, and it just baffles me, because it's just like it's people you would never know, and I know some people have like this description of what a predator is, but you guys, there's teachers, there's people in every position, doctors, there's so much. And I am a homeschool parent, if you have never caught on to that or knew, but I am a homeschool parent, and some of that stems from some of my personal experiences why our child does not go to a public school. This is not to judge and hate anybody else. I do believe there are some great teachers in these schools too, but they just don't have enough reinforcement. But to fast forward into our experience is, growing up, my mother and father, there was always friction. I come from a divorced household, and I love my parents. I don't agree with a lot of things that did take place in my childhood, but at the same time too, it makes sense. But there was a time in my life where I remember I really wanted to, we didn't go to church, but my parents were Catholic, and I always had this aspiring fire of what my religion was, you know what I mean? And growing up, religion was a big thing, and just from what I grew up, just like, your race, your age, what religion do you believe in? Do you believe in God? And I feel like I believed in God, but I just didn't know who God was. I didn't learn who God was, honestly, until like I was in my 30s, and we could talk about that in another video if you want to know more. But I wasn't very religious. And I remember my parents, there was a couple people on my dad's side that wanted to baptize us, and there'd be multiple times too that these relatives would be like, just leave the girls here. You guys can go do your thing. And my mom for years would just never leave us with anybody. The only people she trusted my sister and I with is her mom and dad, which I was safe with my grandparents. I have the best memories with my grandparents. My grandfather was more of a father to me than my own biological father. Just the emotional connection, it was what I just lived and craved on. Well, fast forward, you know, like I said, it created more friction between my parents. Like, why are these two always fighting? What is the big deal? My dad's like, why can't we just leave them at this house so you and I can go? We can ride motorcycles. We can go party. We can go drink. We can go out to dinner, whatever. My mom never wanted to do it. It put more strain on the relationship. My mom would stay home with my sister and I, and my dad would go off and do his thing. My dad is not an evil person, but there is things that he did put us in harm's way that I still don't agree with to this day. I don't have a relationship also with my father. It's been about a decade since I've actually spoke with him. And my dad is alive right now, but he also chooses not to have a relationship with me nor my child. And he's only met his grandson twice. And my son's about to turn 8 years old in the next month and a half. So fast forward, we got married. My husband and I, we got married. And we got married, it'll be 10 years. Be 10 years this next month. And there was always something off. Specifically with a certain person that was around our family and our extended family, you know. And I'm not going to say what side of the family it is because I have predators on both sides. But specifically in this one, even my husband's like, there's just something off with this person. And we didn't have a baby yet or anything like that at the time until I learned after I had the baby, after I had my son. There was also a couple other children that were minors that were living at the household at that time. It can go deeper. I don't want to get too deep into it. Just briefly, I just want to say that particularly this person, she was molested probably for about 6 years until it finally came out. And this person that was doing it was living at the house. He also was dating one of my other relatives. So he wasn't this one wasn't an actual family member yet. I have other ones that have, but this one was coming in and out of the house. And she never said anything. I don't know the depth of everything that happened, but it just came out recently too. My mom actually told me what happened. And she ended up leaving California. She went to a different state. She went to college because she didn't feel comfortable being here anymore. And I honestly don't blame her. She ended up trying to express more about it. And not only that, the actual person that was doing this to her, people believed him over her. And they said that she was being overly dramatic. And to this day, like, I don't know exactly the significance of therapy because she pretty much deleted all her social media, didn't want anything to do with the family, you know. And not only that, I learned that there are other people involved in this train, we'll just say. And on top of it, I also had a few other nieces that were particularly, they were actually both, one particular, the youngest one was molested probably since she was 12 years old. And again, you know what the family was when she actually came out and said, hey, this person's making me feel uncomfortable. He's saying X, Y, and Z. He's touching me. And the family would be like, well, you know, maybe you shouldn't be dressing that way. Maybe you shouldn't be wearing that much makeup for your age. Maybe you shouldn't be. They would pretty much counter it and put the deflection on them. Like it's their fault, you know. I am somebody also who has been sexually assaulted. This is by somebody that I did love at one point, you know, and it definitely did shift and trigger more issues than I feel like that I struggled with. And I definitely seeked help. And to this day, my own family does not know what happened in that relationship, but I was drugged. I was sexually assaulted multiple times, and it did put on stress for me, even just to be in an intimate relationship. And a lot of people don't know that. And I feel like as I gotten older, and as much of what's been in the dark in my family in particular, and I just learned too that one of my other little cousins, she didn't give me the whole deets, but again, this was another person who was molested since she was about 12 years old. This girl now is 22 years old. And the more I talk about it and the more I express the truth on what's going on in this family in particular, I've been X'd out. And you know what? For a split second, it did affect me. For a split second, because my son loved going to these places and he was very familiar with them. But I cannot have my child around these predators that are in the family and that are going to be protected by everybody else. And I've never left my son with anybody besides my husband, my mother. That's it. Oh, and I have a nanny, but like, guess what? I have cameras and I've seen her. She is, like I said, it's sad when you could trust the nanny, more than the family. That's the way my life's been. And people would always come from me just like, your kid's gonna be weird. You know, he needs to go here, needs to go do this. No, I'm not just gonna throw him at anybody. So many children's innocence are being ripped. I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen what's been trending on social media. You all saw the Nickelodeon, right? You've seen what happened to Amanda Bynes and what is it, Daniel Schneider or whatever his name is. Like, you see all that. This has been going on for years. But I've had so many victims that have come across in my family and people that are finally speaking. And you know what? I'm going to speak up. And I can't tell you the last time I've actually been to a family function where everybody's been together, but I want to be around people that are supporting this and that are encouraging this. You're protecting these predators, but the children and these young girls that are being assaulted every night before they go to bed, just they're nothing. Oh, they're bringing it to themselves because she's showing a little bit of tummy, because she had a crop top. Look, I'm not agreeing with everything of what's going on. I'm not their mothers, but I'm gonna tell you now, if I was their mother, that would not happen. And I guarantee you there will be justice. And I feel like we're living in a time too where children are not being fought anymore. You got parents out here that are like, did we not see the story recently too? Well, the one where the mother went to Puerto Rico, was it for 12 days? Her baby died. And I'm over here struggling to get pregnant. But this woman can have a baby and just leave her and the baby could just die miserably. You have children that are being sold for trafficking in families. I have a girlfriend who was sold, almost sold. She was nearly almost trafficked. She was drugged by her own dad's side of the family. They were going to send her to Colombia. And if it wasn't for the Border Patrol, she wouldn't be here today. Like, I have so many things we could talk about. And I just wanted to share to any woman that reached out to me. And you say, you know, you vowed for what I had to say when predators are in families. And you cited and you responded to me. I just want you to know you're not alone. And just know that karma is real. And what they're doing is wrong. Okay, and as much as we want to give justice, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen immediately. It's not going to happen probably for years. But you know what? Recently, justice happened on this side of the family in particularly. And I'm not going to lie. I don't feel bad for what happened to this person because he deserved it, because I don't even know how many other girls he did that to. But the fact that you are in our house and you did that, not in this house, but I'm saying in my family's extended house, whatever comes your way, you deserve it. And I don't wish ill will on people, but when it comes to predators and you're ripping children's innocence, absolutely. You don't deserve life. I'm sorry. And you have so many children that are just being sexualized and they're just being sold and they're being conditioned like it's okay. You got fathers that are doing this on the regularly, like, just, oh, it's my daughter. She knows that daddy loves her. That's sick. We're living in times now, ladies and gentlemen, where pedophilia is a gender. It's an identity. It's not even a mental illness. They get to just do what they want. You have that. There was a case recently too. I go to the gym. So at my gym, it's still pretty separate. Here's my thing. Whether you're transgender or not, I have no problems with that. You want to be what you want to be, I have no problems with that. My problem is with the children and making young girls or young boys feel uncomfortable. There's an incident recently, a 12-year-old girl who was getting, I don't exactly know what happened, but pretty much he was making her feel uncomfortable. He was coming in the locker room and it was a straight man. It was a man, but he's just like, well, I'm a woman. That's fine, but you should not be in there. And she got so uncomfortable. If it wasn't for another woman stepping her in, who knows what that man would have did to her. And they revoked that woman's membership for protecting the young 12-year-old girl. Our children are not being protected. We have to protect them. And I wanted to just, like I said, I just wanted to touch on this briefly, that to all those that reach out to me, you're not alone. You're not alone. And you know what? Justice will be served. Because I'm seeing some right now in my family and I'm just like, good. Good. My husband's friend used to come over here. We didn't even know. He was a registered sex offender. Full-on pedophile. That worked for the school district. Works with little girls all day. Now he's doing time. But I'm just saying, you just really don't know. And I'm not putting this video out here to, install fear. It's just we need to be very hypersensitive and to aware. And just know at the end of the day, a male and a female, your intuition does not lie. Please listen to it. If your child feels some type of way, please listen to them. If they're not being receptive, listen. There's been times that my child just doesn't want to hug somebody. I do not force him. I'm like, oh, it's okay. You know, it's okay. He's shy. I'm going to tell you now, as a mother, as a mama bear, I will protect my baby until God calls me. Because that's what a parent does. Doesn't matter. Anyways, I know this is not my usual type of content. I do love talking about certain politics, but I don't want this to be a full-on politics. But one thing I will talk about, no matter what, briefly through my channel, is the protection of our children. Always. Because that is where my heart and soul is. I always say too, Lord, give me the love and mercy that Mother Teresa had, because her heart was one of a kind. And there's not many people like that in this world. And that is a woman that I'm inspired to be. I might be a little more rough on the edges though. I'm not as calm. But you know what? It's a learning process. But until the next video, you guys, hopefully this brought some light to somebody and just to you and just to bring awareness. But please protect your babies. Protect all children, because all children matter. Until the next one.